Upon the bitter green she walked, the hills above the town echoed to her footsteps as soft as eider down, waiting for her master to kiss away her tears, waiting through the years. Bitter green, they called her, walking in the sun, loving everyone that she met. Bitter green, they called her, waiting in the sun, waiting for someone to take her home. Some say he was a sailor who died away at sea. Some say he was a prisoner who never was set free. Lost upon the ocean, he died there in the mist, dreaming of a kiss. Bitter green, they called her, walking in the sun, loving everyone that she met. Bitter green, they called her, waiting in the sun, waiting for someone to take her home. But now the bitter green is gone, the hills have turned to rust. There comes a weary stranger, his tears fall in the dust, kneeling by the churchyard in the autumn mist, dreaming of a kiss. Bitter green, they called her, walking in the sun, loving everyone that she met. Bitter green, they called her, waiting in the sun, waiting for someone to take her home. Bitter green, they called her, walking in the sun, loving everyone that she met. Bitter green, they called her, waiting in the sun, waiting for someone to take her home.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to share a few thoughts with you and a few stories of how the Sasquatch people are so loyal and how they will protect you and even rescue you if you're in a dangerous situation. But I just wanted to say that, you know, we humans, we're really, really sick. We feel that we have dominion over other animals. We feel that we're superior to them. We don't respect nature. We don't respect anything. We don't even respect ourselves. So how can we respect anything else? Just look at the situation in the world today. It's so screwed up. It's beyond belief. I never thought I would see a world like this. It's insanity. And yet we say that we have the ability to reason and to think. There's not a lot of thinking, not a lot of compassion, not a lot of love, compromise. There's just black and white. There's no gray area for negotiation, for understanding, for people to come together. It's deplorable. But I would suggest to anybody who is going into the woods looking for the Sasquatch people and looking for monsters, I would suggest that you take your camera out there and take a selfie of yourself, and that's where you're going to see the monster. We are the monsters, not these amazing, beautiful people. Animals are not cruel, and they don't act like we do. Sure, they will kill for food, they will kill to survive, they will kill by instinct and nature. But we kill for fun and for the most ridiculous reasons. We go to war for lies. We hate each other for lies. We judge each other for lies. We're really, really sick. And I do hope to see one day when we will come out of this darkness and we will come into light. And I do believe that day is coming. But in any event, let me share a few stories of the Sasquatch people and how they showed me love, how they took care of me, and how they showed caring. My first story is about when I hiked deep into the woods. Oh, it was 5 or 6 miles in. And I was by a river deep in the woods, a place that I like to visit every once in a while. And I came across a fellow and his dog. And we just started talking. And I started getting the energy from the Sasquatch people, like I often do, when they approve of somebody and they feel that maybe that their heart can be opened up and I can maybe plant a seed of possibility in them. They always let me know when they want me to talk to people that they see or feel have potential to love and to think of things in a different way. And so I came across this fellow and his dog, and we were discussing things, and like I said, I was getting the energy. And I started telling him about the Sasquatch people and what they were, who they were, the fact that they were spiritual, loving beings. And we were conversing for a while, and I asked him if he had ever seen a Sasquatch. And he told me no, but he had heard of one that was actually seen in the same area where we were talking at that exact moment. You know, within a good close proximity in any event. And so we carried on our conversation, and all the way through the conversation I was experiencing, like I said, big time energy, like they approved of my talking to this fella. That's how it works. If they like somebody, like I said, they will give me the energy to encourage me to talk about them because they feel this person might be open to it. And so as we were talking and I was feeling this incredible loving energy, all of a sudden I saw the young fellow jerk his head around like really, really fast. And he said he heard something walking, really, really heavy footsteps in the woods just off to our left. And now my hearing is not the best, so I didn't hear anything. And you know, sometimes they only want the people that they want to connect with hear things. You know, I've got a beautiful connection with them, but it could have been that I just didn't hear it because my hearing's not the best, or because it wasn't for me and it wasn't necessary that I heard it at that time. But anyway, like I said, he jerked his head around really quick, and he said he heard something making a lot of noise and sounded like it was walking, a bipedal walk on 2 legs. And that really got him thinking, I could see that he was not scared, but he was contemplating it, you know, especially in context of the fact that we were talking about Sasquatch. And with the heavy footsteps and the bipedal sound that the footsteps were making, it really couldn't be anything but a Sasquatch. And so the seed was planted in his head. And we talked a little further, and before he left, I said, you know, keep your eyes open, keep your heart open, and just say, hey, I can't remember his name. Oddly enough, I remember the dog's name. It was Wilbur. But then, you know, dogs sometimes are much more important to me than some of the people I meet anyway. Silly as that sounds, dogs are unconditional. But I remember the dog's name, and I couldn't remember his name, but I said, keep your eyes open, your heart open, and, you know, they might just connect with you. And just before he left, he said, well, thank you, but I'm really the scientific type, whatever that meant. But, you know, I knew that he was much more. I could feel the energy, I could feel his energy, and I knew, like I said, he was much more than the scientific type. So off he went, and I wonder if anything ever transpired for him from that day forward. I know that the seed was planted, and it was up to him to see where he wanted to take it. And now I'll get into the aspect of this particular day as far as their protection and how they take care of their people. So on this particular day, I was sleeping over. I was doing a solo hike, and I just had my Thermarest mattress. I was going to sleep right out in the open on it, and I noticed that where I was camping there was very, very close to the trail, and it was also bear season, and there was easy access from the trail down to where I was. And a thought crossed my mind, I wonder about the bears. Just a little bit of an uneasy thought, and wondering if, I might encounter one or have an issue. But as soon as that thought came into my head, I literally got a telepathic message. It was a knowing and an energy. Sometimes these messages are not in words, although you feel the words. You feel the energy of the words. It's hard to explain. It's not always a voice, but it's a knowing. And the knowing spoke to me in these words: "We are taking care of you." And as soon as I heard that, I relaxed. Not that I was really scared to begin with, but I totally relaxed. I didn't worry about the bears or anything, because I knew I was being watched over and being protected. And so, just a real calming, loving, no fear kind of energy came over me. And they were simply letting me know that they were watching me, and that they were going to take care of me, and that no harm would come to me. And that was very, very assuring. And it also speaks of their love for the people that they love and the people that they connect with. Another beautiful example of this and their protection and their caring and their love occurred in a place that was very, very close to this one. And my wife Susan and I were there at the time, and we were also camping over. She was actually my girlfriend at that time. This is some years ago. And as we approached our favorite spot, it was a sandy area, once again by the same creek or waterway. But, not in quite the exact same area, but very close. As we came upon this sandy area where we always stayed, because we had been there on quite a few occasions and came once or twice every year, we noticed a big ass bear track. Now this was a huge track, and it was only one. But, it looked like the size of a grizzly track. And Sue does not like bears, and she's very uneasy about bears, and doesn't even want to, if we ever find a place to live, doesn't want to be in an area where bears are. She's just not that fond of them. And but for some reason, I asked the Sasquatch to watch over us, and we both did. And for some reason, Sue was okay, even seeing maybe the biggest bear track that I've ever seen in my life, right where we were pitching our tent, directly in front of it. But for some reason, she was fine. And so we're sitting there, and we're enjoying our time and just enjoying paradise, which we always considered this place to be. Looking forward to the evening and having a fire and sitting around and, being with our loved one, which of course was each other. And all of a sudden we heard something really, really big crashing from the other side of the creek, from the forest on the other side of the creek, opposite side where we were, came across, and it sounded like it crossed really, really close to us, no more than maybe 20 or 30 yards. And yet we didn't see a thing. We did not see anything. And if it was any kind of animal, person, or anything other than a cloaked Sasquatch, we would have seen it 100%. There's just no denying it. It was that loud, and I think it was loud on purpose because, well, it pieced the story together afterwards, you know, so that we knew what was going on. Well, I mean, to be honest, I knew what was going on immediately because you hear something that big crashing across the water, splashing and making a huge sound, but you don't see it. You know, there's no other explanation. And, you know, where it crossed, there was really no place to hide. So if it had been an animal of any kind, we would have seen it 100%, which we didn't. So I knew that the Sasquatch were there. And, you know, it's also not a far stretch, or we didn't have to stretch our imaginations too far to realize that they were probably there to protect us from whoever made that big bear track. Or maybe because there was only one single track, which is unusual, but not unusual for the Sasquatch to make one single track. Perhaps it was just a lesson for us. So have to consider that too. But in any event, like I said, we heard this huge being cross from across the creek from the forest on the other side, and we didn't see hide or hair of it, which, as I said, is impossible. So later that night, as we're sleeping in our tent, you know, I always claim that I never sleep, and I don't know, maybe I'm dreaming that I don't sleep because Sue says, well, you were snoring, you were certainly asleep. So, in any event, I didn't hear what Sue heard. But later that night, as I'm sleeping, Sue heard a big elk that was right directly behind our tent, directly behind it. And she was worried, like she says, is that going to come and, you know, charge right through our tent? She was a little concerned. And this elk was bugling. And as she described it, like, I don't know the behavior or anything too much about elks, but the bugling, or whatever noise it made, is the noise that an elk makes in mating season, I suppose. Or I think the term she used was in rut, which I guess my understanding is the noise that the male will make to the female. I may be wrong, but that was my understanding. But in any event, she heard this big elk right directly behind our tent bugling. And, you know, she didn't go out of the tent or whatever, and we ended up being fine. Everything was fine. And the next day, we put it all together. You know, I have no doubt that that elk was actually a Sasquatch, shape-shifted into a Sasquatch. Or, well, you know, I got to be honest and specific. She didn't actually see the elk, but whatever was behind us was making the bugling rut sound of an elk. But, you know, it's not a far stretch to think that that this elk, or whatever it was that was behind our tent, was there to watch over us and protect us from the danger of whatever made that track. Once again, though, like I said, the whole thing could have just been a lesson in trust, a lesson in their abilities, and they might have made the bear track. It was huge. It looked like it was grizzly size. But in any event, they showed us, whether it was literally or just figuratively as in a lesson, that they will watch over us and protect us. And, you know, that elk in behind our tent, or whatever it was certainly a lesson in the fact that they will protect us. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that one. Never forget that one. I think it's worth noting, in reference to the elk story, that not only is it unusual behavior for an elk to be sitting right behind somebody's tent, It was also not rut season or the mating season for the elk, so the behavior was even more bizarre and speaks to the fact that what we were experiencing was not an elk, but one of our Sasquatch friends. Now this third story, much like the other two, happened some years ago. These are all 5 or 6 years old, I believe. But when Sue and I were dating and she lived in Oregon, close to Eugene, I guess, was the biggest city. I would work 12-hour shifts graveyard at the Port of Vancouver, and so I would be up for 12 hours. And on the days that I went to see her, which was the final shift of the week for me, I would drive directly from work all the way to Eugene, and it was like another 8 or 9 hours, depending on the traffic. And so, by the time I got there, I would be up for almost 24 hours, or perhaps 24 hours. And, it kind of wears you out. I was like over 60 at the time, so I'm actually surprised and blessed that I didn't get in an accident, because I did it at least once every 2 weeks, sometimes every week. And, it was pretty exhausting. I'm fortunate that I did not fall asleep at the wheel or have some calamity happen. But in any event, on this particular time, the next day after I arrived, I'm still like totally like spaced out and exhausted, and it usually took me a day to recover from the long trip there. But Sue and I decided to go for a hike up in the mountains in Oregon, and it was a really, really remote place, and it was in the fall, and it wasn't a super warm day, although the sun was out. It was quite pleasant, but it was going to get awfully cold in the evening. So in any event, we got out of the car, we parked our car, and started walking along the path. And as soon as we hit the path, I noticed some Sasquatch cliffs, and I said, good, they're here. And one I took particular note of was 2 parallel sticks, peeled sticks side by side, something that I see up in my area all the time. And, so I knew it was theirs. I just recognized it. Very, very familiar. So I was quite happy, okay, well, the Sasquatch are here. So off we went and went on our hike. And as we were a little bit into it, and I was, like I said, extremely tired and probably a little grumpy from no sleep. So Sue decides to go way up this slope and check out something up the slope, and it was quite steep, and I was just too beat. I can hike all day when I have enough rest. But I just said, no, Sue, I'm not going up there. And I guess what happened is I was yelling up, Sue, I'm not going up there, come on down or something. And she apparently was saying, hang on, I'll be right down, or something of that nature. But once again, my hearing is not that great. And so I didn't hear her say that, and I kind of got frustrated, and I decided, damn it, I'm just going to go back to the car and meet her at the car. And so off I went, and I'm heading back to the car, and I got lost. I did not know where I was. I was completely lost. And I spent about a good 2 or 3 hours going up and down mountainous roads. I went here, there, and everywhere, to quote the Beatles song. And I was really, really getting a little bit, I was getting pretty scared, because I realized that, if I didn't find her, I had no idea where I was. And at that point, I was contemplating gathering some firewood, because I thought I might be here all night. and I'm going to freeze if I can't start a fire. So it was really that desperate. And so at one point, I came upon sort of like a roundabout that had trails going off in about 3 different directions. And I had already been walking way up forest roads, like way uphill and down, and like I said, all over the place, and I was just completely lost. I had no idea where I was. And so I said to my forest friends, I said, guys, you gotta help me. Please help me. I'm lost. I need your help. And so, like I said, I was in this roundabout kind of area with trails going about 3 different directions on it. And I decided to take this one trail. And it was probably the last trail I was going to take until I built a fire and decided, well, I'm going to have to hunker down because I'm not going to be getting out of here tonight. And you can imagine how disconcerting that was because I wasn't really dressed all that warm. It was probably going to get close to freezing at night. And so I was thinking, okay, I'm going to have to start a fire. But in any event, I headed up this last path, and I got up quite a ways, and I'm thinking, you know, I don't really recognize anything. And I was just about to turn around when I saw the 2 peel sticks side by side, identical to the ones that I seen when I first came in, and I said, awesome, I found my way back, I'm back. And you know, I was extremely relieved. So seeing that encouraged me to go on, you know, about another 20 yards or so, or was a very short walk from that point. And like I said, I thought I was back. And so as I'm walking along, suddenly I see Sue driving her car very, very slowly on the road just above me. And I yell out, Sue, 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 stop. And she heard me and stopped. And I said, thank God I made it back to the car. And she said, what are you talking about? You're over a mile away from where the car was. And I said, what? You know, I had just seen those 2 sticks, the 2 peeled sticks side by side. And I said, what? And, you know, that quite surprised me. So she also said that when she was looking for me, because she was looking for me and driving around, just before I got there, you know, maybe 10 minutes before or whatever, she arrived at a certain point and stopped. Just felt compelled to stop, and then she got an energy or a message. Somehow it was delivered to her, now you can go. It was just a knowing that now she had to start driving up the road slowly. And when she started doing that, that was the exact moment when I was coming up the path just below her and saw her and told her to stop. So they were working through her so that she could rescue me, and working through me because I recognized the glyph that was not actually where I had initially seen it, but I thought it was, so I carried on. So that was, you know, what I call how they rescued me out of the woods. And what an incredible story. You know, I mean, consider this. They put that glyph there so that I would carry on, and they put the thought into Sue's head to drive by just at that precise time. So they literally rescued me out of the woods. I don't know if I would have died in there. It would have got pretty cold. I'm not sure what would have happened, but it certainly would not have been a good situation. And so that's how loving and caring these people are. And this story, like I said, is about them rescuing me and doing whatever it took, having me recognize that glyph, having Sue drive by at the exact time so that I could get out of there. So that's the caring, loving nature of these people. And so you can call them monsters or Think of them as you will. But they are not the monsters. They are loving, they are caring, they are family. They take care of those that they connect with. We are the monsters. And I'm just glad and so blessed that they are unconditional. Their love is unconditional. They don't judge, not like people do. They taught me that about no judgment. It's something that I still struggle with because I'm human, and the conditioning of humans since birth is all about judgment. But, you know, when I'm in my best, highest vibration, I don't judge, and I love. And even my worst enemy, perceived, I look at with love and compassion as I would my best friend. So they are very compassionate, very loving, very loyal, and like I said, if you're looking for monsters, go out into the woods, take a selfie, and that's where you'll find the monster. So these people are family, these people are loving, and these people are wonderful, spiritual, evolved beings. And I'm very blessed to have a relationship with them. And anybody who wants to have a relationship with them, you have to do it with your heart. You have to be unconditional. You can't have an agenda like you want to take their picture or trick them or profit off of them in some way. It's just got to be a heart-to-heart connection. It's got to be pure and loving and respectful. And just introduce yourself to them and say, "Hi, I'm Brian. I would like to get to know you." And it's really as simple as that. It's really as simple as that. And it's getting pretty dark here, and this is just about the time when the owl, or RE, who I know it was RE, came out the other day, and I'm feeling something, and I kind of think that I heard something, so we'll see how my walk back to the car goes. But in any event, thanks for listening, and I hope you will consider my words, and I'm grateful that I could share those stories with you. Once again, like I said, examples of them caring for family and being unconditional. So thank you for listening. Heart blessings and heart energy to all of you.
Oh, how is it that I could come out to here and be still floating and never hit bottom and keep falling through, just relaxed and paying attention? All my two-dimensional boundaries were gone. I had lost to them badly. I saw that world crumble and thought I was dead, but I found my senses still working. And as I continued to drop through the hole, I found all surrounding to show me that joy innocently is. Just be quiet and feel it around you. And I opened my heart to the whole universe, and I found it was loving. And I saw the great blunder my teachers had made, scientific delirium madness. That is now, that has ended before the beginning. Oh, how is it that I could come out to here and be still floating and never hit bottom and keep falling through, just relaxed and paying attention?
just to add one more example of their love and support. You know, in these days of these wacky, crazy, upside down days, I mean, the world is just so insane and bizarre. I just can't even believe that I'm living in these times. But, you know, I had that love zap, you know, where they taught me about unconditional love, about our eternal nature, about the connection of everything. And not only did I know it, I felt it. And it was, you know, when I did, I just knew that that is the answer. That is the answer to humanity and our conscious shift. And I'll leave it at that. I won't go into all the details. But that was basically it. And, you know, I've been on that high vibration many, many times, but this world can bring the strongest people down, and I'm not saying I'm the strongest person. But I do have good resolve, and I do believe in what I believe in, and I'll stand for it. But, you know, we all have weak moments. And, you know, the world is very scary in some of the things that we think might transpire and the way it's going. And so I wasn't at my best. I was really not at my best. And I was buying into the fear, which is another thing that the Sasquatch taught me and blessed me with, is no fear. And when you're on that high vibration of no judgment and love, there is also no fear. But I was in kind of a low point and buying back into the fear a little bit. And so I just knew I have to go to the woods. I have to go to the woods and visit my people. And I went there and I just said to them, guys, please take this fear away from me. I'm just not myself. I'm not who I want to be. And it's just not me. And please help me with it. And literally, not a word of a lie, it was instantaneous, almost like a light switch going on. They took the fear away and they restored me to that high vibration where the troubles of the world and all that nonsense and everything that's going on now is really not all that important, because, you know, you have that knowing that we're eternal beings, and it's just a drop in the bucket of eternity. But maybe that's a flowery way of saying it, but basically they instantly took the fear away. And that was some time ago. That was maybe 6 months ago. And, you know, it really hasn't returned. Yeah, I've had a few dips. I've had a few times when some of the events that are unfolding have put me back into a less than ideal state, or a less than ideal energy vibration, but really I haven't gone back to that low point ever since. And you know, as time goes by, I'm getting stronger and stronger, and you know, the fear is not there. So that's a beautiful example of how they care for us, and how they care for me and people that they're connected with. And I consider that just the most amazing gift, that they could just take that away just like that. And just by asking with heartfelt love and emotion. So the Sasquatch people will support the ones they love in so many wonderful and amazing ways. The ones that they consider to be family, the ones that they're connected with, the ones that they want to speak their message. They will prove it to you in so many ways. And, you know, taking that fear away gave me the strength to speak their message without fear, and to not buy into it. And so I'm eternally grateful for that.